My Majlis broadcast needs to be updated too. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال الله تعالى: ولما رجع موسى إلى قومه غضبان أسفا. أما بعد. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most magnificent, most beneficent, most merciful. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all his ni'mah and favors that he has bestowed upon us. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the divine guidance, the tawfiq, and the life to be present in this gathering. Topic under discussion from last week was sincerity of action. We will touch upon a bit on backbiting, but the majority of the topic today is concerning to anger. The questioner asked the teacher that I have a natural dislike for backbiting. A natural dislike for backbiting. Anybody here who has a natural dislike for backbiting? One person. Well, we should all have a natural dislike for backbiting. But because we're just living in an environment and society that backbites, social media is always backbiting about somebody, right? We no longer think it to be wrong. So it goes, due to my natural disliking of backbiting, people get upset with me that this man does not listen to us. That when somebody is backbiting, I say, listen, I'd rather not know. I'd rather that you don't discuss this in front of me. And because of that, people don't like it. And then, you know, I feel in my heart a dislike to the discourses and the discussion that these people are having. And I feel a bit alien to what these people are actually doing. Answer is congratulations. Congratulations on this condition. Full stop. Congratulations on this condition that obviously to get to a point where a person is observing, is alert to the fact that somebody is being dishonored before me or somebody's faults are being mentioned before me, and I am giving them an attentive ear because I like it, right? You know, the latest gossip. Do you know what happened? Like, you go home and say, somebody says, guess what happened today? And then, you know, X, Y, a whole list of things. Or you're sitting, you're away from a few, you know, you come home, return from a journey, and you say, how was everything in my absence? Everything was good. And says, you don't know what happened. And then there's a whole list of things. It's gossip. It's gossip. There's no benefit to the gossip. It's information, but some information is better not heard. Instead, the information is power. Information is only power if you want to dishonor somebody. Whereas information, let's just, if you just take a look at about information and the sharing of information. So when mail comes to the home, and if it's addressed to you, is it permissible for the wife to open that letter that's addressed to you? Sharia-wise, Islamic-wise. It's not permissible, right? Unless you've given permission, general permission, that listen, if you receive a bill, you're welcome to open it. But if you see that something has been directly addressed to me or it's a handwritten letter, do not open it because maybe it contains private information that is it's only supposed to be directed to me, right? So the sharing of information, even between a husband and wife, is not just like now. The opposite way around, if a wife receives a letter, does the husband have the permission to open that letter? He does not. He does not. Right? So in the same, that means that look, such a close, you will not get a more closer bond than a husband and wife, right? Yes, parents are on a completely different level. You cannot judge the bond between a husband and wife and the relationship between a husband and wife upon the bond that a child has with his parents. It's a completely different bond. The rules and regulations to the both are different. The rights are completely different. Parents are in a completely, different status. So I'm just talking about the status here about even if a father, does the father have permission to open the mail of his son, right? Or the mail of his daughter, or vice versa, right? So nobody should open nobody's mail. Why? The sharing of information is limited unless somebody gives you permission to do so, right? So, but if you're working in an office, now the mail that's received in an office is professional mail or personal mail. Now the office manager has the permission to open all mail, irrespective who is it addressed to, because it concerns the company, it doesn't concern the individual. You understand? So, if we have such rules regarding information in our personal life, that even a husband should be mindful, an email is the same as a mail. A man should not be reading his wife's email. A woman should not be reading her husband's email. She shouldn't be looking at his WhatsApp, and he shouldn't be looking at her WhatsApp. There is some privy of information, right? So, but when you open the doors of ghiba and backbiting, those doors are just flung open. Everything goes, anything goes. Oh, by the way, I saw a message on my husband's WhatsApp, and this is what it said. Or I saw a message and this is what it was saying. It's that type of sharing of information, unless somebody's life is at stake or somebody is going to be hurt if that information is not shared. If that information is not shared, somebody's going to be hurt, then obviously that's different. But again, there is, when these boundaries are broken, and when these boundaries are a person transgresses these boundaries, it's when these issues happen. We have been taught that a wife should not discuss the affairs of her home. A man should not discuss the affairs of his home. Why? Because to you, it's, some affairs of your home. To the other person, it's gossip, right? I guarantee you go and tell somebody the affair of your home, it is going to spread into other people. They're going to know. They're going to find out. Unless the person that you share it with is Amin, like he's in a position of amana. For example, people used to come and discuss their affairs with the Prophet ﷺ. He was in a position of amana. Not everything was disclosed that the Prophet ﷺ, that those people who took private consultation from him. A person goes to a counselor, is a position of amana that obviously is not disclosed to others. And plus, it's easier to discuss something to a counselor because he's third party. He doesn't really know you. It's difficult nowadays to disclose things to family members because family members can easily spread it to other family members. Understand? So we should have a habit that when people are being discussed for no reason, sometimes there's just no benefit in even mentioning certain things. A person should not. He should feel that this gathering is incorrect for him to sit in. and he should dislike it. And if he has the authority to do so, he should say to them that I think we should talk about something else. I don't think this is a fruitful conversation. Right? And then obviously people try to justify it, right? Oh, it's okay, he's a public figure. You can talk about him. No, not every, you cannot talk about people like that. Because sometimes when I do not find time to myself and private time, where I am alone, I feel shy that I feel shy that I do dhikr in front of other people, or I do muraqabah in front of other people. I feel shy. So you got to break that barrier, because if a person starts feeling shy of praying salat, it's just like praying dhikr is is just one of those things. It's just the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I have this thought in my heart that maybe somebody will see me and hear me doing mentioning the name of Allah, and maybe riya, maybe I might start doing stuff for others rather than doing it for myself, rather for doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So instead of at that time, I just lower my voice so that just to keep my sincerity intact. Answer: okay, no problem. Okay, no problem. Riya, because riya, the disease of doing an action to show others, it's not something that's going to, it's not like a cloak that's going to come around you and you're going to see it. It goes, riya is something that is born from intention. Riya is something that is born from intention. When you make an intention to do something to show others, that's when it constitutes riya. But if something is not done with intention to show others, and the inclination of showing others is not there, it's not riya. It's not riya. It's the waswasa of riya. So now there's a distinction between the waswasa of riya and riya itself. So let's look at this through an example. You are praying salat outside normal times, because in normal times people must think that you're just praying the obligatory prayer, right? You're praying salat outside normal times, or you're in the masjid making tasbih outside normal times. Somebody comes in, obviously somebody sees you, and obviously you're going to get this thought that this person saw me praying, etc. But as long as it remains as a thought, then it's fine. But now that he sees you, because let me just sort of make it better so that he sees it better. Understand? So now if you don't change your intention, it's not riya. Waswasa, it does. Like for example, I'll give you another example. Waswasa of kufr. Can that be possible? Can a person get a waswasa in his heart that maybe Islam is not the right religion? Maybe this, maybe this, maybe this, and then eventually you do all the conclusions and you come back to that point. No, Islam is the right religion, but the waswasa came, right? So because the waswasa came into your heart doesn't make you a kafir. Waswasa is a waswasa. It only makes you a kafir if you intend kufr. If you intend to make the intention of kufr, right? Why are you smiling? Because of the waswasa? Does it relate to you or what? It relates to a lot of people, right? Just because you get a waswasa doesn't mean that you become a kafir. I mean, if you get a really bad waswasa in regards to Allah, in regards to nowadays, a lot of the stuff out there, a lot of TV shows, a lot of videos, a lot of films, they blatantly curse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You understand? Now, blatantly cursing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's a problem. Why? Tell me why. Is a problem.
Because it's normalizing it.
Normalizing it, number one. Number two, as a believer, Because a believer, he won't normalize that, right? But as a believer, what's the problem? You guys tell me. You can't unhear it. You know what that means? You can't unhear what has been said. Na'udhu somebody curses Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't unhear that. It's in you heard it, right? Now it's going to have a ripple effect in your heart that such a bad word has been used for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they are using these words on purpose so that children would get used to these words and these type of terminology. If there is a God, you understand? If there's so whatever. And sometimes, I just gave you the bottom scale. I just gave you a nice example. There are many examples out there that are way worse that are, that are being said now in mainstream media. And if you do hear those type of vulgar type of words, you should stop watching whatever you're watching. You should stop. You should understand that, that this is no longer beneficial for you. You understand? So you can't unhear those words that are said against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And shaitan has a habit of doing what? Waswasa, but what will he do? He'll replay those words in your head. You understand? He'll replay those words in your head. And when shaitan replays those words in your head, it affects you. It affects you. And this is something that we don't understand. It affects even the worst. You yourself became the sabab, the reason that you gave the ammunition. Who gave the ammunition, provided that ammunition to shaitan? You did. How did you provide that ammunition to shaitan? By watching stuff that you were not supposed to watch and hearing curse words against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, though he's going to repeat those same curse words to you. And it's going to bother you, right? So inshallah, it doesn't take a believer to kufr, but it bothers you, right? It bothers you that Allah is being spoken about in this manner, right? So, we should be careful of even what we are listening to and watching. And if it's blasphemy, then you're not supposed to watch it. Don't watch it. If it's blasphemy, why do you even continue to watch it? Don't watch it. Make a golden rule that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being cursed at, if the Nabi is being cursed at, or if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being belittled in a movie, that you no longer wish to watch these type of movies. Is that something we could do? Yes or no? Yeah? What if it's a blockbuster movie? It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter when it comes to cursing Allah. You can't unhear it, right? It's like, forget about it. So anyway, says that Riya is something that is born. That Riya is something that when a person makes an intention for, right? And it says that as long as it's a waswasa of Riya, it doesn't become Riya. As long as it's a waswasa, it doesn't become Riya. Again, right? Such a nice point that Sheikh mentions. Had he not mentioned this point, we wouldn't have known, right? They settled. It's not written like this in a book of hadith, right? But this is all derived from the books of hadith and Quran and the teachings of all the sciences are derived from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. It's derived science. So a person asks a question that the reality of Riya is the following. That the action, if it's action and that is done physically, meaning a physical act of worship, or with one's wealth, or with one's honor, whichever type of worship that a person is doing, physical type of worship or wealth worship. all physical forms of worship, all wealth forms of worship, one other? Huh? Verbal, jazakallah khair. All verbal type of worship is all done for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in which a person seeks an honor from other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's asking a question. This is a question. In which a person seeks honor from other than Allah for his actions. And this is also part of being arrogant. So the Shaykh rectifies it a bit. He says, the reality of Riya is the following, that a person does an action or he discloses an action of all three types for any worldly purpose. Very important. It goes, but if it's done for something for a religious purpose, then it's okay. For example, a teacher teaching his students that when we went, this is the type of ibadah we were told to do, and these are the actions that we were taught by our teacher, and we used to do them. So that's izhar. Izhar means that you are saying that you did something, right? And that saying of you did something, if it was to encourage the students to also do it, or to encourage the students to also have an eagerness and to develop a zeal to doing that action, then it will be fine. It won't be riya. Even though there's surah of riya. Surah means there is a resemblance of riya, right? That there's a, the attributes and the sifat are there that it could be riya. But the only difference is the intention. But if the teacher's intention is so that the students feel that he is a big person, then obviously now it becomes what? Riya, right? So usually teachers don't do it like that. Usually the purpose of the teacher is to encourage the students. But obviously the teacher should also take a check of himself and make a check of his intentions when he's talking to his students also. And, or for, let's take any other relationship. A person discloses something to his spouse so that the spouse be encouraged to do the same. It will not be riya. But if the person is to say that I am more superior to you because I do X, Y, Z, right? A person wakes up in the morning. Oh, you didn't wake up last night, did you? No, I didn't. Oh, well, I was awake all night. Oh, you couldn't sleep? No, I was like making ibadah. Oh, okay, mashallah, great for you. It's like that. What purpose does he have in disclosing that information? If the purpose is the world, then it's a problem. If the purpose is riya, if the purpose is to encourage the other person to acts of worship, then it is not riya. Yes.
So, during the Fajr Salah, someone asked me to read the Salah. And in the Fajr Salah, we have to decide big surahs. But when I pray individually, I don't pray the big surahs in my Salah, Fajr Salah. When I pray myself outside the Jama'ah. Will it be a riya?
No. So the question is that if a person is leading prayer, he uses different surahs. If a person is not leading prayer, he uses smaller surahs. Would that be riya? If the intention is to show others that you know long surahs, then it is riya. If the intention is that the sunnah qira'ah, the sunnah amount that needs to be recited is this amount in this salat, then it would not be riya. And on that thought, let me also explain that if you are not in the habit of reading salat, then you should stick to those surahs that you know super well. Stick to those surahs that you know super well, because trying taking incorporating a surah into the salat that is untested is like going to battle with a sword that has not been tested. You understand? You never go to battle like that. If the question is that if somebody increases their focus during salat, if a child is looking at them, which is distracting my focus, then that would be, you know, this is the child is distracting you and you're trying to focus more. That would not be riyah, because you're really not doing it for the child. You're really trying to focus more because the child is distracting you. More than a child, the child distracts you if he starts like, you say Allahu Akbar and they realize, oh, he's not going to do anything now. I can touch anything I like. I can hold. It's only a problem when they start touching dangerous stuff and your mind goes like, Allahu Akbar. Like, like you say Allahu Akbar just to like get the child to know that you're nearly finishing your salat, right? So, children are, different like that. But what could be more disturbing in salat is that if somebody else is reciting something, and like the recitation, that could be very distracting. To me, that's very distracting. Meaning, if I'm trying to read salat and I can hear somebody else reading their prayer, is super distracting because you can't focus on your own prayer then. But khair. He goes, now that you have know the definition of riyah, now focus on yourself, that do you have this in you or not? Do you have this in you or not? Another, it goes, a second request is the following. That, and I mentioned this to you for the purpose of rectification. It goes, you told me that do this for a few days, and then we will see. It goes, at least show me that you can do it for a few days. You use these words. What did you say to me? Show me that you can do it for a few days. You see what he's going to ask? What's he going to ask before he asks? You guys, why you look dumbfounded? Like you're all silent. He says, teacher, you told me that at least show me and do this for a few days. Show me that you can do it. Show me that you can do it. What's he gonna ask? So he goes, he says that, he goes, and the teacher says, if you could do this for a few days, then it will give me some tranquility and rest in my heart that, okay, we're going in the right direction here. Because, me, I have very little knowledge of the deen, and my intellect is not as, like yours. But will it not be also riyah? That you're asking me to do something for a few days and then disclose it to you that I've done it. Wouldn't that also be riyah? What do you think? So teacher asked him, this disclosing of your action, will it be for the purpose of the dunya or will it be for the purpose of the deen? What's the answer? It's the purpose of deen. Because the teacher is telling you to do something and you're doing it, right? It goes, Riya, the name Riya is the name given to that action that is done for a worldly purpose. And it's done to show others for a worldly purpose. But the above would only be true if there was some intention to actually show others. But here, the action is not being done to show others. that such a person is informed of my actions that I'm doing. But the action is done for the pleasure of Allah, and then it is disclosed to your teacher to make sure that you're doing it correctly and as instructed by the teacher. It is just that, as the same example, that a child learns Quran for the sake of the teacher, or does the child learn Quran for the pleasure of Allah? And then that he discloses it to the teacher, so by the teacher would become happy and give more focus and attention to him, because this person is now making an effort to learning Quran. The teacher's attention would be more towards that type of a student. Or is that the reason? Because the reason is the latter, that the reason of disclosing is that this person is actually following my instruction. He's doing what I'm asking him to do, and I will give him more tips to further him. Yes or no? Or is it to show off? I mean, there might be some students who come and show off to their teachers. There might be some students who do that. But the teacher already knows that they're showing off, but he just doesn't say anything. Right? This might be you might relate to this one. I'll quickly read it, and then we'll do muraqabah, because salat is at 10 today. Time flies. 40 minutes flew by. I didn't even but in a Jummah khutbah, like 40 minutes, you'd be like sitting like this, and you'd be sitting like this, and you'd be sitting like this. SubhanAllah. Because I have a problem with anger, and I need to rectify it. Because, the wisdom of talking softly and lovingly and, in a nurturing manner, I developed it somehow, a little bit when I was in your company, but very quickly that wore off. I have a short fuse. Who has a short fuse? Yeah. One person, 2 people, 3 people, short fuse. So we have a solution for the short fuse. We also have a solution for the long fuse. Who has a long fuse? Okay. Who has a short fuse, but very quickly subsides? All right. Who has a long fuse, and then when it happens, it's like a whole volcano. But then it takes a while for it to subside. You'll be angry for a good couple, sometimes days, or sometimes even hours. It depends on the situation. All right. So there's different temperaments, different personalities. What's right? What's wrong? Guess what? Nothing's wrong. It's your temperament. This is how Allah created you. There's nothing wrong in it. There's nothing wrong in the different. Somebody can say, this guy, he gets angry, and then 2 minutes later, he's fine again, right? That's also good. But then sometimes you might the whole purpose of you getting angry might be diffused, because people see that you're okay now. You get it? So there is no, some say, this guy angry, he stays upset for days, man. He's just like so moody. Right? There's no right or wrong type of anger. It's anger, right? Because to get angry quickly is natural. It's fitrah. It's natural. Which is not in your control. That's how you've been programmed. You need a reprogrammer to reprogram it. Can it be reprogrammed? It will, but remind me afterwards, I'll tell you. But you have to remember the contents, otherwise I won't remember, right? It goes, and no, are you blameworthy for that type of an anger? No, is it blameworthy for that type of an anger? Yes, but the the after, what you do with the anger. If it exceeds the limit of Sharia, then it is wrong. And if it's not exceeding the limit of Sharia, then it is not wrong like that. But if you wish to control it, there is no control, nothing can control anger except, dhikr, except, what's the answer? There was another situation like this a few weeks ago, and says, listen, the only solution is this. What's that?
Just battling your mouth.
Courage. Remember that? You have to be brave. But when you show bravery in the sense that when you make an to do something, do not underestimate the power of intention. You understand? I mean, if I go into the topic of power of intention, the time is too short. When a man intends to do something, he does it. Yes or no? And if he doesn't want to do nothing, he wants to lazy, then he'll be lazy. If a person wants to be on time, there's nothing that can persuade him otherwise. It doesn't matter if it's the baby, it doesn't matter if it's the Wi-Fi, it doesn't matter who it is. If he wants to be on time, he'll be on time. But khair. So he goes, you need to be, a person needs to show some courage. And it goes, number one, it goes, but if another method of controlling it, part of the courage, listen to this, part of being courageous and brave is that when the person upon whom you have become angry, go away, remove yourself from that vicinity, from that person's company. Now remember, you cannot remove yourself from that person's company if he is higher ranking than you. For example, a man removes himself from his father's company. A man removes himself from his mother's company. Or a man removes himself from his teacher's company because he feels the anger building up inside. No, that would be even more disrespectful. All right. Number one, be brave. Number two, remove yourself from the situation. Number three, part of being brave is to recite aloud, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Part of being brave. Say it. Because it's difficult to say it at the time of anger. Try it. It's very difficult to say it. I want you to try it. Okay, how many times does a man get angry per day? Average. Come on. 7. It's just he just threw out a figure there. 7 times. Tawaf. 7 circuits, 7 times. 7 earths, 7 heavens. So it's 7. It's the golden number 7. All right.
You need a courage.
So a person gets angry 7 times a day, and he also gets away with it 7 times a day. We must afterwards will sit down and interview this guy. There must be some secret, right? How is he still standing? But khair, you married? Not yet. You can't relate to this part yet. But khair. Because part of being brave in the face of anger is to immediately look at your faults. Very important. Super important. I would, if I could put a double star on this, I would put a double star on this. It will immediately cool you down. Anger, excess anger or misplaced anger is a sign of what? Arrogance. Very quickly brings you down when you look at your faults. Very quickly. Immediately think of your sins. Oh, it will deflate you like a balloon has popped. Like a balloon has popped, it will deflate you. Inshallah. I want you to test it. This is homework. I'm going to ask you next week that what did you do to implement this lesson? So number one, is what? Be brave. Number two, part of being brave is to remove yourself from that situation. Number three, part of being brave is to recite A'udhu billahi shaitan. Number four, which is triple start, is that immediately start thinking about your faults, your sins that you've done, your transgressions against Allah that you've done. And it goes, it will pop your arrogance and your anger like a balloon. And he says, this last one is highly effective. The last one is highly effective in controlling the anger. He goes, I want you to be observant and start implementing this on a daily basis. And inshallah, when your person is conscious and observant, he will see the change. After a while, the strength and the courage to control will automatically be created because you opposed it. You get it now? Jazakallah khair. We have a few minutes. We're going to make muraqabah and then the rest we'll make after salat, inshallah. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحان الله وبحمده سبحان الله. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. After salat, inshallah. برحمتك يا رب.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة